woman who was there to witness the dethroning of Thatcher in 1990 and knows a thing or two about the devious Tory wets and how to handle them is former Tory Government Minister Ann Widdecombe, who joins me live in the studio. Hello, Ann.
Hello. Right.
Ann, do the Conservatives face an existential threat?
The threat that the Conservatives face is from themselves. It is the Conservative Parliamentary Party, which is ungovernable, which panics at the drop of a hat. And it's all very well saying get rid of Liz Truss. You put in a new Prime Minister, what's going to happen when problems arise then? And the party will go into another panic, as they did with Boris and as they're now doing with Liz. And it is a problem of the Parliamentary Party. Now, the membership voted for a particular set of policies which Liz Truss tried to introduce immediately. She should have handled it differently, but those were the policies that she was elected to deliver. And she hasn't been allowed to do so. Now, you say, have the wets taken over? The answer to that is yes. I don't actually agree with your analysis about Ken Clarke, who I think served Thatcher pretty well during his time in the Cabinet. But I do agree with the comments about Heseltine and the others. Yeah, the wets have taken over. Jeremy Hunt is effectively running the country, not Liz Truss. Penny Mordaunt is standing there at the dispatch box. Neither of these people managed to come anywhere near Liz Truss in the leadership election. They don't appear to remember that. Yes,
Jeremy Hunt, one of the first out of the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, this is somebody who voted Remain. Now, I don't mind somebody voting Remain, but when they, you know, then don't immediately say, OK, we lost, as Liz Truss did. Liz Truss just accepted and she went on to get all the trade deals. I mean, she can't be called ineffective when you look at that long list of trade deals that she got. But unfortunately, what neither she has nor Boris had, after Dominic Cummings at any rate, was good advice coming from number 10. Now, what we need is somebody like Bernard Ingham used to be, or if you look at Labour, Alistair Campbell. These were effective people. There is nobody effective in number 10. There is nobody saying, hang on, you can't quite do it that way. Let's do it this way. Let's consider this. There's nobody doing that. Or if there is, they're ineffectual.
Indeed. However, Liz Truss is now on borrowed time. So who's next, Anne?
I do sincerely hope that the party can be persuaded to stick with Liz, because I don't actually see a new leader solving the problem. And as I say, all that needs to happen is you need another set of problems and the party will go into another panic. So, you know, just changing the leader every time there's a problem isn't actually the answer.
But Liz Truss seems to have buckled under the pressure almost immediately.
She has.
So I just wonder whether this is a failure not of policy but of character.
I think she certainly buckled far too easily with reversing her policy.
And she looks a bit broken. That press conference on Friday, Anne, was a disaster, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think she is broken. I do pity her. I pity what's happened. But I think that she made two mistakes. The first was she didn't handle the announcements of the policies properly. The second was she then went into reverse far too quickly. I mean, if she'd stuck to those policies, where would we be now? And the answer is in far calmer waters than we are.
Indeed, and now, of course, you know, the financial experts are predicting a deeper recession because we're not going to have those tax cuts. In fact, a Conservative government is going to raise corporation tax as the country faces a downturn.
Yeah, discourage business, discourage enterprise. At least, thank heavens, the banker's cap hasn't been reversed. So, you know, we will be competitive with the rest of Europe on that basis. But that's all. I mean, corporation tax, you know, you want to encourage business. That's what Tories believe in. They believe in incentives. Everything which the Conservatives believe in has been stood on its head by Jeremy Hunt. That is what he has done. He has introduced a pink agenda. We have a pink party, we have a red party. There is no blue party for which to vote.
You, of course, left the Conservatives and you joined UKIP. Do you think
No, I joined the Brexit Party.
The Brexit Party, forgive me. Do you think that Britain needs a new centre-right party?
I'm afraid history tells us that new parties in this country do not survive. If you think back to the 80s and you think back to the SDP, now they had very, very senior people. They weren't just some sort of rump party. They had the Foreign Secretary, the Chancellor, you know, they had big, big people. And they won by-elections and everybody said, here's a sea change in British politics. But when it comes to a general election, people are terrified of letting in the people they don't want. And therefore, they go back to the two-party system. And that is what happened. And the SDP didn't survive. And yes, I would love to see a centre-right party. I really would. I would like to see a party with a truly conservative agenda. I would love to see that. But I don't believe that it's possible in the electoral system that we have.
And we haven't really had a truly conservative party for many years, have we? I mean, look at the reaction to the pandemic. The reaction was not a conservative reaction, which would have been the Sweden approach: inform the public of the risk of COVID, but protect the economy and allow businesses to continue trading, don't harm the future prospects of children by closing schools. But instead, we adopted effectively the sort of Chinese Communist Party policy of lockdown under a Conservative Prime Minister. So this problem has been a long time in the making, and it seems to be a cultural issue within the Tory party.
We've had it since Cameron, basically. Until that, I think we did have significant differences. But Cameron was effectively the heir to Blair. The heir to Blair.
And he admired Blair and it showed.
And he admired Blair and it showed.
Yes, indeed. So do you think the Tories need a stint out of power in order to regroup and come to their senses, Anne?
That would be fine, but for the inevitable consequence that if the Tories have a stint out of power, Labour has a stint in power. And that will be very destructive for the country. And I cannot wish a socialist government on this country. And so therefore I am not going to say that the Tories should have a stint out of power. What I'm going to say now is what I've said before, and I do hope eventually somebody listens. There is one tool that can actually govern that crazy parliamentary party, and that is the fear of being deselected. Right. And every single constituency chairman in the country, if any of you are listening, every single one should now summon in their MPs and say, unless you are utterly loyal to the leadership for the duration of this parliament, your selection is not going to be automatic. That is what they need to be saying. They have the power. I mean, the government's no longer got the power. The Conservative Party in the country has that power. Use it, guys.
So you can't wholeheartedly endorse Liz Truss, but you would say she must stay?
I believe for stability's sake, and because I don't believe that a new leader is going to solve the problem, because, you know, we had one new leader after Boris. That hasn't solved the problem. We actually need to rediscover nerve in the parliamentary party, and for heaven's sake, to get a better quality. I know this can't be done overnight. Get a better quality of MP in there. Get some older, wiser, steadier hands on the tiller.
Bring back Ann Widdecombe. Anne, a thrill to meet you in the flesh. An absolute legend of politics.